Welcome to episode number 236 of the Beyond Social Media Show, the podcast for all of you marketing, advertising, public relations, and communications professionals. We are recording live on YouTube on July 26, 2018. A lot of things to talk about this week, including, now I forgot how to pronounce this.
Bonobos.
Bonobos mansplains, virtual border agents, recycled runners, Amazon again, Yelp scores health ratings, blockchain visualized, Bitcoin extortion, pitch spam, Tronc, vomit fraud, Facebook's fall, and a lot more. And we kick it off with the best story of the week. BL has the honors. BL, what was the best story of the week?
Well, I thought the worst stories were more interesting this week, but this one is interesting. Bonobos, which, by the way, is named after an ape, challenges the definition of masculinity in their new campaign. And so it's called Evolve the Definition, and they call it a movement to answer the question, what is the definition of masculinity? And then to encourage conversations about what it is to be a man today. So there's a 90-second micro documentary that has a diverse group of men, and they're all reading the dictionary definitions of masculine, including words like powerful and muscular, and then they give their own takes on what it takes to be a man. Now, Walmart bought Bonobos not long ago, and Bonobos is continuing to try to build their brand around themes of diversity and inclusivity and more modern portrayals of masculinity, and they've got some really kick-ass advertising that they've done. So this approach already has attracted a lot of attention, which indicates that masculinity is a pretty touchy subject, because the documentary in the last week or so has gotten 7.5 million views as of tonight, but it has a lot more dislikes, 34,000, than it has likes, 16,000. And there are all these takeoffs on it, about how ridiculous they are, and I hate this because, and it's really, it's very, and they have a website that you can go to called evolvethedefinition.bonobos.com, where you can add your picture and your definition, and there's a lot of them there. And so, this is not a new sort of creative effort for them. Back in May, they ran a 30-second spot that showed 172 men of different shapes, ages, and ethnicities representing their full range of pant sizes. So clearly, they have a sense of humor. They have a sense of, what people will want to discuss. And it's way beyond, these are our pants. So I like it for that reason.
Interesting. Well, I don't have a transition, but this is a really cool story from Good, and the reporter is Liz Ohanassian, and it is, you and I like to talking about virtual reality a lot. This is a mixed reality story, and I think Microsoft has kind of cornered that term with their HoloLens technology, and that's what this involves. There is a guy named Asad Malik. He's a 22-year-old mixed reality artist and Benetton college student who is familiar with customs interviews because he's from Pakistan. He came to the U.S. for school, and in Abu Dhabi, he was questioned at Terminal 3 by customs agents who raised his voice in front of others in the room. So he had an experience of being kind of interrogated by customs agents. And the experience inspired him to create this art installation called Terminal 3. So the writer of the story took the experience, this Terminal 3 installation, in a Stark conference room in a corporate campus near Los Angeles International Airport, put on the Microsoft HoloLens glasses, and then a hologram appeared across from her. The hologram's name was Ani, and she was headed through customs en route to the U.S. from Malaysia, where she'd been working as a human rights activist. And her visage in the hologram is kind of an Apple IIe green representation in grid-like format. And if you're familiar with the HoloLens, It is a virtual representation in your own environment. So if I had a HoloLens on right now within my own studio here, I could see something projected onto my own environment, right? So the writer's job, or the person who's experiencing this installation, they are the customs agent in Virtual Terminal 3, and your job is to select questions to ask Ani, and you can decide whether or not she can enter the US. You can choose to interrogate her as if you're looking for suspicious activity, or you can interview her as if she's like the subject of the magazine article. So the writer chose the latter method and asked about her job, and that led to questions about her family and her previous career. And it turns out that Ani is a fascinating person, daughter of a Malaysian diplomat. She rebelled by pursuing her love of music. She was successful at it, had a Grammy certification, but turned out that she was advocating for women's rights issues through a progressive Muslim group. Muslim group was her calling, and most of her family was not supportive of that work. And so as Annie goes deeper into explaining the rifts that her family's lack of support caused, her visage in the hologram becomes more substantial. She loses the green hue. She takes on more lifelike shades. And so as you get to know this person, the person actually before your eyes becomes more substantial and less of an obvious computer generated
image.
Thank you. So Malik is quoted in the article as saying it's an interesting way to get to know a person through this institutionalized lens when you're sitting down with them with a really weird power dynamic and you have this responsibility to figure them out. I thought would be a really interesting way to tell a story. So it puts the user in the position of power where you have to decide how you want to interact with them and react to the hologram in front of you. The resulting situation, you can learn as much about yourself as the person you're interviewing, and brings forth a lot of questions, including how comfortable are you with a stranger in your own space, right? So with the hologram, you actually have a person in your personal space, your individual space. And Malik sees that question as pertinent to today's political discourse. It also is so the installation was, I think it was at one art festival, and the people who were experiencing it actually got to, after they questioned Ani, were taken to another room where they actually met the person who was being interviewed, Ani, the actual person who this was patterned after. And apparently there's several other people who were actual refugees or had to go through.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. So just thought it was a fantastic use of the technology, and there you go.
And the programming that must be involved in that is fascinating, you know? Well, I don't have a story anywhere near as cool as that, but there's a shoe brand. I have fashion stories tonight. This is so not like me, but there's a shoe brand called Rothy's, and it's kind of like the official shoe uniform for women in Silicon Alley and Silicon Valley. And the cool thing about them, this is from a Fast Company story by Elizabeth Seagran, and this is a company whose brand lovers have become superb brand ambassadors, and that's something, you know, most brands can only dream about. So what's so cool about them is that it's an eco-friendly shoe brand, and it went viral. The shoes are made of recycled plastic bottles, and you can remove the insoles and wash them in a washing machine. They'll dry in something like 20 minutes. And they come in an outrageous amount of colors, and they're comfortable besides. And so they're really like part of the work uniforms and play uniforms and, you know, among geekdom. And they have 99.9 thousand followers on Instagram, where women love to put artsy photographs of their Rothy shoes. And they launched the brand in 2016 with a collection of flats. And what's distinctive about them is they have knit uppers, and they come in two designs, a pointed toe and a round toe, and they have 20 different patterns. And they added a loafer style this spring. So there's basically 3 styles. They're only sold on the brand's website, and they range from $125 to $165. But what's really super cool is you can send them back to the recycling facility when you're done with them, and then they'll be turned into carpet tiles and yoga mats instead of ending up in a landfill. So they're so popular that when they announced a new black pointy-toed pair, they sold out immediately, and there was immediately a waiting list of 20,000 plus. So they announced today they're making shoes for kids now for a mere $65. The shoes are like a great way to give a tangible example of how recycling works. And, you know, you can explain that that these products never end up in a landfill and they're always transformed into new things. And it's a great way to teach kids about recycling and about the environment, and, you know, to just start that whole conversation. Plus the kid gets to school and they're like, look at my shoes, they're made out of recycled bottles, you know. And they're cute.
Very cool. Very cool. So, I mean, when you're researching shoes, did you have, you were reading about this, researching it. Do you have ads following you around now about these recycled
Oh, of course.
shoes?
Of course I do. And they will follow me for, I ordered Benny's pet food today, you know, and Chewy.com is following me around, and I was clicking, go, I already bought that. Leave me alone. And then it says, we'll try not to show you that. But, you know, at one point, it was Nat Ives at Ad Age who wrote the pants that followed me for 6 months around the internet. He wrote a whole article about it. You know, it's just so ridiculous.
Well, you've got Facebook ads that follow you around. You've got programmatic advertising that follows you around, and banner ads throughout the internet. But now we're going to have Amazon's getting into the act with retargeting ads. So this is from an Ad Age article by Garrett Sloan. They are planning to dramatically increase the inventory for sponsored product ads. Those are the ads you see within Amazon that brands run to get you to buy their stuff. But now they're planning on letting those ads run across the internet, not just within Amazon itself. So they are talking to top agencies and brands about participating in a test and delivering those ads outside on websites, retargeting consumers who visit Amazon. So, you know, you're doing research. First place that most people go to when they're researching a product is Amazon to research it. So you get on a product page, and now you'll be followed by ads, Amazon ads across the web. The sponsored products are one of the main ad forms on Amazon's platforms. They're triggered by keyword searches. So brands will be able to target ads based on the keyword activity that reveal exactly what those Amazon users are in the market to buy, because what else do you search for on Amazon but products? So it is a very clear indication, more so than any other keyword based advertising, about people who are ready to buy something. The ads will appear when they're sprinkled within search results in Amazon's Amazon proper and the product listing page, but now they'll, once this rolls out, appear on websites everywhere that have Amazon code on them, presumably. Amazon's marketplace, let's see. So when you click on the ads, you'll be brought directly to the storefront. So, I mean, you think about the way that other ads work, they don't directly send you to a place where you can buy. Usually you usually have to jump through some hoops. So Amazon, this is pretty significant for e-commerce players especially. So there you go. Look for it in the future.
Oh joy, more ads.
Well, as long as they work, as long as they're
they'll be good for sellers. I have no more good news. Do you have more good news? I don't.
Yeah, this is good news, but it could be bad news depending upon who you are. This is from a Washington Post article by Tim Carman, who talks about Yelp. Yelp has got a pilot program that they're planning on expanding, that pulls health inspection data from government databases and places it on the restaurant pages for Yelp visitors to check out. So Yelp has partnered with a company called HD Scores that scrapes government websites and pulls in the health scores for more than 6 million inspection reports. It represents more than 1.16 million restaurants and food service establishments in 42 states. So as a result, Yelp will add the data to restaurants in New York, California, Texas, Illinois, the District of Columbia, and they're planning to roll it out for other states as well in the coming months. The inspiration comes from health reports that there's a 2005 study conducted in Los Angeles County in which in 1998 started requiring restaurants and other food establishments to post grade cards in their windows.
Yeah, we have those here.
Oh, you do? Okay. Yeah. So each restaurant is assigned a letter grade that corresponds to health inspection score. So 90 to 100 points, you get an A, 80 to 89, you get a B, 70, 79, you get a C. But the study found that after the grade card program was launched, foodborne disease hospitalizations in Los Angeles County decreased in 1998 to the same level observed in the rest of the state. The decrease was sustained for the next 2 years of the study as well. In San Francisco, Yelp ran a trial run and ran into some serious resistance, of course, from Golden Gate Restaurant Association, of course. The restaurateurs complained that a poor inspection score could remain online long after the restaurant had corrected any problems.
That's true.
Yep. So in San Francisco, inspectors update a score only after a full inspection and not after a follow-up. So a full inspection can occur anytime during a 6 to 18-month window. So depending on when you got the score, you could be sitting there with business. Right. The data supplied by each jurisdiction's health department that Yelp relies on. So the data can be different depending upon the jurisdiction. So as a result, diners will see a variety of methods to sum up this information. In Miami, the city uses a pass or fail system. New York City has a letter grade system, as you mentioned. It's a complicated problem. The article cites rats. So there's a restaurant that cited in the article that rats had long been a problem for a restaurant cited in the article. Where improperly secure trash containers in the alleys attract the rodents. The city is working to correct the problem, but it still takes an extraordinary effort on the restaurant's part to keep the rats out, even though it's a city problem. It's not just the restaurant's problem. If you've got a bunch of businesses with an alley that has a bunch of trash containers in it. So this restaurant cited installed metallic mesh screens to keep the rodents at bay. It worked. And the restaurant hasn't been cited for any further infestations. But if they had been, if that lagging score had been a long time, then they'd be sitting with that score, which wouldn't be helpful. So it's a problem. But also, I mean, it's a good thing to have on Restaurant Review to know that bit of information.
Yes, but I think only if they could keep it up to date. That's really
correct.
Fair.
Correct. And so that's what Yelp says they're confident in this company that they're using to keep that up to date. Who knows? But yeah, there's the rub.
Yeah, the letters are great big, and they're right in the window when you go to a restaurant. And sometimes they'll say "grade pending," and you don't go in there. I mean.
Well, you want to know that before you leave the house, right? Too.
Yeah,
so that's where
that would
it's useful to have that online.
Well, we got plenty of restaurants, so do you. But so do you have more good news? Because I'm all done with mine. Good news? No?
I have a real quick one here. This is this is from a Reuters article by Marianne Murray, and it is an excellent representation of visual reporting. It's actually sponsored content, but it's done by Reuters, sponsored by Barclays. It explains blockchain with animations, a difficult concept to get your head around, but it brings to light and makes clear that tough concept. There's a segment that links to a slideshow at Barclays, so it has the sponsored bit in it, but it is actually useful content that explains blockchain visually, and we'll put a link to it in the show notes so you can see it. But an excellent example of some visual journalism, basically.
There needs to be a lot more stuff like that. Wow. All right, so let me tell you how my day started. This morning I got an extortion email. And it came, and it said that this person said that he had monitored me watching porn, which it happens I don't do, and had videos of me doing that. And he was gonna, if I didn't send him $7,000 in Bitcoin today, immediately, he was going to make my taste public to all my contacts. So, you know, go ahead. I don't do any of that. So a friend of mine, I immediately put the email on both Facebook and Twitter and said, what is this? And everybody said, you know, it's a phishing email. But my friend called me from California. He said, I got the same thing this morning. And he's the fire commissioner in his town. So he called the sheriff. The sheriff called the cybersecurity for the state, and they said it's a common phishing thing, you know, don't watch it. Because I said to him, I don't watch porn, so I don't care. And he said, but I do. But anyway, so Josh Burnoff posted on my Facebook post that he had written about this, and what happened to him was even crazier. He got an actual snail mail letter saying that this person knew that he had secrets from his wife, and that he was going to tell him what the secrets were. And Josh did what I did, he immediately posted it, made it public, you know, like just take it, put it in the light. And so people said to me on Facebook, you need to call the police. So I called the FBI and spoke to a nice gentleman at the FBI in New York. And he said, there's a common phishing scam. Make sure you don't send him any money. Make sure your passwords are updated. Well, I do all that. And he's, you know, and I made a report on the FBI site for these cyber extortion complaints, and they said if they need any more information, they'll let me know. So I'm going to post the email and links to places where you can deal with it. But it starts out, and the grammar in it is hilarious. Let's get right to purpose. Nobody has compensated me to check about you. You may not know me, and you're probably thinking, why are you getting this email? Let me tell you, I actually placed a software in the XXX video porn site, and guess what? You visited the site to experience fun, you know what I mean. While you were viewing video clips, your browser installed working as a remote desktop, obviously English isn't his first language, having a
Dead
keylogger.
giveaway.
Dead giveaway, and it goes on. You got two choices. You got. He sounds like we are going to look at these types of possibilities in particulars. And your first is you ignore the message. And then I most certainly will send your tape to all your personal contacts, and also think about the shame you can get. Not to forget, you happen to be in an offer. Exactly what it can affect. I don't know what that even means. Then the second place choice would be to compensate me $7,000. I will describe it as a donation. As a result, I will most certainly will silently erase your videotape. You can go on with your life in this as if this never happened, and you will actually never hear back from me again. You make the payment in Bitcoin. And if you do not know this, search for it on Google, and it gives me a Bitcoin address. And you know, if you're looking to go to law enforcement, well, this email can't be traced. I have covered my steps. I am not trying to charge a fee a lot. I wish to be compensated, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, it goes on. And so many other people got the same thing. And so I sent it as a phishing email to Google and, you know, put it on the FBI site. And, you know, the thing of it is, people do send money to these. I mean, you know, imagine some people do watch porn and worry about it, but people send money. And there's one article that where this guy like really traced this one person who's behind all this. And he said it's a pretty sophisticated operation. And there's a second scam where they have your password from a previous data breach. So people are getting passwords sent to them, like, here's your password. And if you're the kind of person who doesn't update your password, when you get the email that says you've been involved in a data breach, change your password, you know, that's so. And then people go, oh my God, that was my password, or that is my password, or whatever. These are scams. People don't do anything.
Yeah,
Isn't
well,
that strange?
I choose the first option.
Ignore, yeah.
Ignore. But yeah, well, I mean, it's sophisticated because one of the versions of that is they actually put a password that was from a data breach from years ago. That is actually your own password in the subject line.
If you didn't change it, then that's your problem.
But that gets your attention, so you start reading it. And if you get past, if the poor grammar doesn't tip you off that it's a scam, then maybe you're ready to take action on Bitcoin. But if you're sophisticated enough to know how to send Bitcoin, you're probably sophisticated enough to know that this is a scam.
You'd be surprised. I mean, don't forget about the princes from where are they from?
Nigerian.
People send Nigerian princes their bank account. There are people who do that. If there were not people who did that, it wouldn't be an industry. But it's a little bit scary when you see it and it's addressed to you, and it
well, I think
you don't want to start your day that way. Let me put it that way.
This is clever. This is clever. I just think they need to clean up their execution a little bit.
Yeah, well, you know what? They probably will.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a person.
Yeah, and he's only trying to make a little bit of money.
I just want to be compensated.
Just want to be compensated. Don't we all? So
I know I do.
So this is not a scam. This is more of a spam. This is something this is a PR pitch from hell. We've all got them. You have a long history of complaining about PR pitches from hell, but I wanted to run this one by because it stuck out in particular because there's just a couple of things that if you want to pitch people, this is what not to do. Start off with having no subject line.
My favorite,
no subject in the subject line. So that's kind of a rookie mistake there.
My filters send those to spam, by the way.
Yeah, well, it's a spam trigger, so.
No, I mean, I have a filter set for that. Yeah.
Okay. Then their contact management system didn't import the URL of the blog that they were referred to in the email. So it said the email says, "I just came across your blog," and then quotation marks with nothing in between the quotation marks, right? All right, yeah. So you're using a contact management system to spam people, and then it says my guest post would give your audience a boost since the National Cellular Directory has close to 4,000 followers on Facebook. So no, it's not going to give my blog a boost or my audience a boost because it has nothing to do with anything I ever have written about. So, yeah, do a little.
Well, mine usually start, "Dear Mr. OCHMAN," and that's why I know immediately it's one of my close personal friends getting in touch. And then they say, since you write about the latest one is, "I found a broken link in your post from 2010." And I come on. But my favorite also is, "Since you write about technology, I know you will be interested in this." You do not know what I will be interested in. And if you read my blog, you would know what I wrote about. It's just, and sometimes if I'm in a good mood, I just put them in the trash. And other times I write back to them. And I'm not always very nice when I do that. But sometimes
I get the link ones all the time. It's a tactic for. It's an SEO tactic that people are recommending that you find broken links and ask people.
Yeah, well, but I'm not going to go.
Well, I have a bunch of posts that were just, it was a link log.
Right.
All I did is I'm not going to go back and change that stuff at all.
Not happening. I wrote an ebook called "Press Releases from Hell" and how to fix them, and then I did one emails from hell and how to fix them, and I really should update that because I have such a long list of all of them.
Yeah. So this let me finish here, BL.
Oh, you're not done. I'm sorry.
I'm not. The last point in this email was the disclaimer at the bottom. So you've seen these before. If you don't want to receive these emails anymore, just reply with unsubscribe. That's a dead giveaway that you're using a system, but no. I'm not going to unsubscribe by replying to your email. I'm just going to hit the spam button and penalize you for sending me this horrible pitch that had nothing to do with me.
Well, one time I wrote a post and I said, if you want to pitch me, you need to know the name of my dog. And smart PR people do know that. Anyway, this was a very hard week for journalism. On Monday, Tronc, that stupidly named publication owner, laid off half the staff of the New York Daily News, including the editor. And it's just the latest round of cuts at the Daily News. Tronc bought it for $1. And then they terminated half of the editorial staff and the entire social media department. How they did it was the worst part. There was an unsigned memo followed by a 1-minute meeting. And then when you went back to your desk, if you were one of the people who were getting fired, you got an email from HR and you were gone. And it's a blow to local watchdog journalism. The Daily News won a Pulitzer Prize last year. It's 11th with ProPublica for the exposure of how the New York Police Department used an obscure civil enforcement law to evict hundreds of poor people from their homes without being able to challenge the move first. They also made a meal of Donald Trump's presidency from the populist left with their wonderful homepage, front pages. And they showed him as the malevolent, autocratic, and cartoonish figure he is. And so the former editor-in-chief, Jim Rich, changed his Twitter bio to read, "Just a guy sitting at home watching journalism being choked into extinction." And then his next tweet was, "If you hate democracy and think local government should operate unchecked and in the dark, today was a good day for you." What a horrible, horrible thing to happen.
Yeah, that sucks.
No, that's our hometown paper. I mean, it really is. The New York Post is a rag, and the New York Daily News had some really excellent journalists and journalism. So now they're crippled.
Well, I don't have a transition, but
No, because it's so freaking sad. Just tell us your bad news.
It's from the Chicago Tribune, and it is a story about vomit fraud.
Oh,
vomit fraud, of all things. This is a scam that is taking place around the world. Uber passengers are getting a surprise charge. It's the vomit charge. After a successful ride, you call an Uber, you get dropped off to where you're going to, you leave, and then you get a surprise from Uber, a note from Uber reporting an adjustment, quote unquote, in your bill. And it's an extra charge that can range from $80 to $150, depending upon the driver's degree of crookedness. The passenger, they're unaware of what's happening, but they see the adjustment, try to contact Uber. The only way to contact Uber is through the help button on the app or on their website. The first reply usually goes something like this, quote, "I understand that it can be disconcerting to receive adjustments to the tariff after your trip has ended. In this case, your driver notified us that during your trip, there was an incident in the vehicle and therefore a cleanup fee of $150 was added." The message is accompanied by photos of the alleged incident that the driver supplies to Uber, which considers them sufficient evidence to add a charge for a cleanup charge on the bill. Uber's policy is to charge $80 if a passenger vomits or spills a drink on the seat or any surface that's difficult to clean, but the charge can increase to $150 in cases of, quote, significant quantities of body fluids in the interior of the vehicle, urine, blood, or vomit.
Oh, God.
Uber says the extra fees compensate the drivers for time and money. Of course, if that's the case, if that actually happens, then of course that they should be compensated for their time and money spending cleaning their vehicles. But this is something that Uber drivers are doing to fraudulently get extra money. It's easy to commit, and Uber drivers are unregulated. It's as if you need another reason to avoid Uber like the plague.
Well, I do that already.
Yeah.
That's disgusting. That's really disgusting. Well, I think that the lead in the MarketWatch story about Facebook's crash today is one of the best leads ever. It says Facebook Inc. is evidently not bulletproof. So today, Facebook lost, this inconceivable, lost about $120 billion in market capitalization after its earnings report after the market closed yesterday. because of missed expectations on revenue and a decline in user growth. That rattled investors, and according to CNBC, no company in the history of the U.S. stock market has ever lost $100 billion in market value in just one day, but Microsoft and Intel came close. And so the Washington Post noted Facebook's bad day raises questions about the fate of other big tech firms like Twitter and Google, which have also been grappling with rising privacy concerns and demands to combat disinformation on their platforms. So what happens is when the Facebook stock goes below 176 at the close, that would mean the shares had entirely wiped out their 2018 gains, and that had happened by early afternoon. So by the end of the day, the stock was down 20%. But, you know, it recovered from the Cambridge Analytica scandal, but today seems to be the end of that run of forgiveness and declining revenue and user growth. And the fact that they warned executives that it's going to continue seems to be the kicker. So, you know, profits were not what rattled investors. Facebook recorded sales of $13 billion, a 41% increase, ad sales, a 41% increase from a year ago, but that was lower than analysts expected and lower than their previous growth rates. And U.S. user growth is flat in the U.S. and Canada and declined in Europe in the previous quarter. But the stock didn't fall off a cliff until the chief financial officer, David Wenner, disclosed yesterday, basically, that they expect the revenue growth slowdown to continue. The one saving grace for Facebook could be continued support from advertisers and less subject to the quarterly demands of investors. Advertisers aren't going to stop keeping Facebook in their budget. As you always point out, Dave, you know, Facebook advertising still works. So as for Zuck, his net worth fell more than $16 billion today. Set that against the backdrop, and one activist investor wants him out as the chairman, you know, which is not going to happen. But whatever the cause, last night Casey Newton wrote in The Intercept, it appears that Facebook may have peaked in North America. And while efforts to improve the platform will surely continue, the company has a full slate of negative headlines to anticipate. For example, the Justice Department and the FBI are both investigating Facebook over Cambridge Analytica. The Security and Exchange Commission and the Federal Trade Commission are conducting investigations of their own. The debate over how Facebook should handle misinformation, which led Zuckerberg to his disastrous defense of the speech rights of Holocaust deniers last week, that's still going on. And, you know, not one of these things is likely to dislodge Facebook, is what Casey Newton said, because it is at the center of online communications. But it's fair to say that the cumulative effect so far has been greater than pretty much anybody expected. It's pretty incredible.
It's the user growth. They've already got everybody.
Well, yeah, they do have everybody. They can't grow anymore, but they can shrink. You know, I mean, the opportunity seems to be ripe for something new to come along. These things do have lifespans. Maybe it's time.
Facebook has been the exception to that rule, though.
Up until now. In terms
of social media.
Yeah, well, we'll see. You know, I mean, having most of the world as your, but, you know, I don't know about you. I certainly post a lot less than I did. I certainly show up a lot less than I did. I mean, you know, I'm on Twitter. That's where I am.
All right. Are we on to new stuff?
Yeah, I guess we are. Go ahead. Come on to one.
This is from a Quartz article by Oliver Staley. About stock photography. So it's, you know, it's obviously stock photography is around because it's an easy solution. If you don't have the budget for original photography, and a lot of people rely on stock photography. The images are often cheesy. They're so cheesy they inspire memes like the distracted boyfriend meme. During episode 87, we talked about stock photography that was even used as a publicity stunt to promote the Vince Vaughn movie Unfinished Business. So The photos tend to be bland for these stock photographs because they don't want to offend anybody. They want to sell the photos, but in their blandness, they can often perpetuate stereotypes. So people featured in stock photography for office workers are overwhelmingly white. Enter Jopwell. Jopwell is a career site for people of color, and they have created a stock photo collection that depicts Black, Latino, and Native American people in office settings. The photos are of generally young, generally attractive workers, pictured with their laptops at meetings, having fun, stress-free days like ordinary stock photography. And nobody has at work. Jopwell's introduced their collection last year. It now includes about 300 images. The photos are of Jopwell employees, of interns, of individual users, of corporate clients. They're free to use, but you must credit Jopwell. But there you go. There's a resource for you for non-lily white stock photography.
That's very cool. I like that very much, you know. I mean, I always laugh, like sometimes they have pictures of like these little people, you know, it's not just a headshot, it's the whole little person. And I just find that very funny on websites. Oh, look, there are the little people. But anyway, no offense to little people, because little people are cool. So the one I have is WebGazer. And it's a free monitoring of when your site is up or down, and it'll let you know by email if anything is wrong. It's free for one site. If you want to monitor more than one, there are a lot of sites like this, but this is free. And so I have it going on one of my sites, and you know, that's it's a nice free tool.
Very cool. Very cool. I've got a promotional message of sorts for the Minneapolis Digital Summit. This is an event that is put on every year. I went 2 years ago. It was fantastic. A lot of different speakers, a lot of really good content. This year's event is happening August 22nd, 23rd at the Minneapolis Convention Center. Liza Dunning of Airbnb, Robert Rose of the Content Marketing Institute, Scott Dykers, I think, of the founder of The Onion, John Lombardo from LinkedIn, Heather Taylor from The Economist are some of the names that are going to be presenting at there. They've given me some access, so I'm going to be there this year. And if you want a discount code, I got it for you. Email me at david@bsmediashow.com. If you're planning on going, obviously it's in Minneapolis, so I'll get you that.
He won't get you a plane ticket, though.
I won't get you a plane ticket, just a code on the tickets. Yep.
Tickets, so you're on your own with the ticket.
Yeah.
So I don't have another. Do you?
All right. No, let's wrap this up. Daily numbers.
After daily numbers, we have politics.
Yep. Daily numbers. Meal kit subscription challenges. This is I haven't yet tried meal kits. I've been fascinated with them. I've been wanting to try them, but I haven't tried them, and this might explain why. So this is reasons why U.S. grocery buyers stopped using a subscription meal kit delivery service. 57% said the value for money spent. And that's kind of where I was at with not ready to pull the trigger. I didn't quite think that I was make full use of it, because you have to commit to doing it frequently enough for it to be worthwhile. Portion size was an issue for 12% of the people. Price versus and cost of the program was 10% of people cited that. Amount of prep time before cooking, 9% said that. That was another issue. It seemed like it would be faster, but actually it looked like, when you look into it, more work maybe. Number of steps required, 9% cited that. Shelf life of the meal kit once received, 8%.
You got to eat it right away.
Yeah. Total cooking time from start to finish, 8%. That's where my Instant Pot is much better. So we'll put the rest of the data on the website for you to see, and let's get on to politics. You've got something I don't.
I have never been tempted to try meal kits because I cook very simple stuff, and it's really not hard or complicated.
They look like, I like cooking, and they look like they look fun, but it's just like, I don't know, it's probably too much effort for me. And too much of a commitment, because you really gotta. You
have to do it for like a month, right? I think. Yeah. So this is really, this is a perfectly done spoof of pharmaceutical ads. And you may have seen it already. It's quite hilarious. It's called Impeachera, and it's a drug that you take for TIAD, Trump-induced anxiety disorder. Impeachera works on your neurotransmitters to convince you that Trump has already been impeached. Side effects may include elation, the ability to focus on work and family again, reconnecting with people you called ignorant fuckfaces on social media. Impeachera should not be taken by those in favor of the current administration, and you should ask your doctor if Impeachera might be right for you, but do it fairly soon before you lose your health insurance. And it's so perfectly done. I mean, other people have spoofed health drug ads because they are so outrageously done. Side effects may include death. These things have happened. So this is perfect. The tone of it, the photography, the whole thing of it is absolutely perfect. So it is going to be included in the show notes, and it's a hoot. As long as you don't approve of the current administration. And for those of you who do, well, don't watch it. So that brings us to the end of episode 236 of the Beyond Social Media Show. And everything we talked about, the show notes and links to all the stories and examples of videos we described and so on will be on beyondsocialmediashow.com/236. And so David Erickson, my very charming co-host, is on Twitter as D. Erickson. He blogs at estrategyblog.com and creativepr.com/blog, both of which you should immediately subscribe to because they're both terrific. And on YouTube, he is eStrategy. I am BL OCHMAN. On Twitter, I am at What's Next. I blog at What's Next Blog. On YouTube, my channel is What's Next Blog. I have a website at blochman.com, and I have a side hustle called Fun Walkers, which are funny license plates for people who use mobility devices. The Beyond Social Media Show is online at beyondsocialmedia.com on YouTube. We are on Twitter as BS Media Show, and we're on iTunes, where we hope you will subscribe so you don't miss an episode, or you can listen whenever you feel like it. We're also on Stitcher, we're on iHeartRadio, and we're on, tell me again what she's called. Google Echo? Is that what she's called?
Not Google Echo, but
what is she called?
Echo will work.
Echo, Amazon Echo. That thing that Dave has that I don't want to wake up right now. So we'll be back next week, but I think it's Friday. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, we'll be back next week on Friday. And we thank you for watching tonight. And we look forward to seeing you next week.
Thanks for watching.